Good evening class, welcome back. My name is Madhav Sir. I welcome you all in the next session. We call it as session on annual reports. So we all know that RBI Grade B examination is around the corner, and if you're preparing for this particular examination, annual report is the most important document which you must cover before you go for the examination. So I've already conducted the detailed discussion of the RBI annual report, and this RBI annual report was covered in 3 parts, and the playlist is available for all the 3 sessions at one stop, so you can go and watch it if you haven't watched it yet. But if you have watched those sessions, then this is a must-watch session where we will be discussing the top 50 MCQs based on RBI's annual report 2024-25. As I requested you in the 5 p.m. session that before coming for the 7 p.m. session, do revise the RBI annual report quickly and then come and sit for this session. I'm expecting that you must have given a quick revision. If not, don't worry. In next 1 hour 30 minutes, I'll try my level best to not only make you the entire annual report revised, but also to understand that up to what depth the question can be asked by the examiner in the examination and what would be the format of the questions. So I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy this. So let's get started, guys. Let's begin the discussion. But before I move ahead, let me have yes sir in the comment section so that we can begin the discussion. So those who are live, if you haven't hit the like button, quickly hit the like button. If you haven't shared the session with your friends, quickly share the link of this session with your friends so that more and more students, they can join us live in this particular session and they can have access to this beautiful session where we will be solving top 50 questions based on RBI's annual report 2024-25. अगर मैं बात करूं 2024 में RBI Grade B 2024 examination, many questions were asked from this particular report and same is expected this year again. So keeping in mind the intensity and importance of this particular report, do check out all the questions very carefully, try to answer all the questions very carefully, and if you are not able to answer it, don't get disheartened because it is a revision session. Still you have almost a month before you sit for your RBI Grade B examination, so you have ample of time to realize your weakness, especially related to the current affairs for which we are taking up the sessions. Realize your weakness, just identify that pain and try to resolve it, try to solve it. Okay? So that is more important. So let's get started, guys. Give me yes sir. I don't get much comments in the comment section. उठ जाओ भाई, जल्दी से कमेंट सेक्शन में लिख दो सब लोग yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, so that we can begin the discussion without any further delay. Chalo, here we go with the first question of the evening. The first question is now on your screen, but before that, if you want to download the PDF of this particular session, that will be available on my Telegram channel. You can join this channel right away with the help of this code. Scan the code, join the channel to download the PDF. Here we go with the first question of the evening. The first question talks about which of the following statements correctly reflect the economic development which is described for 2024 and 2024-25 and outlook for 2025-26. So when we open up the RBI annual report, in the initial 2-3 pages of the report, they have given up the outlook for 2025-26 without any data. Overall, I would say a subjective output is given and the result or developments of 2024-25. So let's check it out. Global inflation in 2024 fell mainly due to declining commodity prices, easing supply conditions, and delayed effect of earlier monetary tightening. Is this point clear? Is this point correct? Tell me yes or no. If I talk about the first point, yes sir, the global inflation declined in 2024 was majorly due to the softening of commodity prices, easing of the supply condition, and the lagged impact of monetary tightening. So in that particular context, the first statement is correct. Second, India's financial sector in 2024-25 showed weakness as credit growth slowed to single digit and capital buffers eroded. So the second statement is false. Why this statement is wrong? Financial sector did not weaken. If you are saying that India's financial sector weakened, no sir, this is wrong. India's financial sector did not weaken. It was resilient and it has shown improved asset quality. It has shown strong capital buffer and even it has shown the double-digit credit growth. So this is wrong. The next point is government balanced fiscal consolidation with buoyant tax revenues while focusing on expenditure. While focusing on expenditure. So in that particular context, the third statement is absolutely correct because fiscal consolidation has continued with the buoyant tax revenues. Buoyant tax revenue means as the GDP increases, with increase in GDP, we have witnessed the increase in tax revenue as well. So it was greater than 1, which is a good call for an economy. It is expected to support India's inflation outlook in 2025-26. So this is correct. Fifth statement, rising geopolitical tensions and tariffs may challenge exports, but India's free trade agreements and ongoing trade talks with major partners could mitigate some of the risk. That is also correct. So keeping that in mind, which all statements are correct? So first, third, fourth, fifth are correct. So that C option is the correct answer. Only Khushi is the one who has given the correct answer. Very good, Khushi. I would request everyone, wake up guys and try typing the correct answers for the same. ठीक है जी, आगे बढ़े. Let's move on to the next question. Let's move on to the next question. Are you ready, guys? I hope the questions are very clearly visible. There is no issue with the questions. Here we go with the second question. Consider the following statement about the global economic trends in 2024 to 2026. So in the annual report of RBI, the IMF data was also shared while presenting this report. और IMF का वो data इस report में mention किया गया था. वो data क्या था? Sir, IMF projected the growth at 3.3% in 2024. That is true. This growth is lower than 2023, which is 3.5%. That is true. And long-term average of 3.7% was also given for 2000 to 2019 in the IMF report. That is true. These are the global growth rates. Second is the decline in global growth rate was mainly due to weak investment, sluggish productivity gains, as well as high debt levels. So this statement is absolutely correct कि जो global growth rate कम हुई है वो क्यों हुई है सर? इन्वेस्टमेंट कम हो गई, productive gains काफी कम है और there is high debt level in the country. उसके बाद अगला point it says inflation fell to 5.7% in 2024 and it is projected to ease to 4.3% in 2025 and 3.6% in 2026. What will be the correct answer? So the answer to this particular statement is absolutely correct. कि जो inflation in 2024, it has fell down to 5.7. This is as per the IMF report. It will be 4.3% in 2025 and it will be 3.6% in 2026. That is correct. Global merchandise trade volume contracted again in 2024. Global level पे जो merchandise trade है, that has contracted in 2024. This is absolutely a wrong statement. Why this is a wrong statement? क्योंकि जो आपका merchandise trade है, it does not contract, rather it has expanded or it has increased by 2.9% after contracting in 2023. So this is wrong. Fifth statement है modernization in growth across some Asian and European economies, geopolitical tensions and weak recovery in China's property market has impacted the global growth. That is correct. So answer क्या बनेगा? 1, 2, 3 and 5. That means the C statement is correct. लेकिन जो आपकी fourth statement है, that is wrong because the merchandise trade at global level has not contracted, rather it has expanded, rather it has increased by 2.3%. Rather it has increased by 2.3%. ठीक है जी, क्लियर हो गया? 2.9%, सॉरी. मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. अब सर जो हम ट्रेंड्स की बात करेंगे, दैट इज रिलेटेड टू IMF अगेन. एक क्वेश्चन और फ्रेम किया है या रिपीट हो गया? आई गेस दिस इज द रेपिटेशन, सॉरी फॉर दैट. फोर्थ क्वेश्चन. Consider the following statement about the global trade and financial development in 2024. तो global trade और financial development की क्या हालत है in 2024 as per the RBI annual report. तो अगर हम annual report के हिसाब से चले तो क्या क्या points correct है? पहला, the global trade growth rebounded to 3.8%. Yeah, that is correct. और 2023 में जो global trade growth थी, that was only 1%. ये भी बिल्कुल सही है. But the global trade is still facing headwinds from the restrictive trade policies and geo-economic fragmentation. That is correct. Major advanced economies, they have maintained largely accommodative financial conditions, reflecting a swift towards less restrictive policy as inflation gradually converged to the targets. So जो inflation है, it is slowly and slowly converging to the targets of 2024-25 में. It has converged for almost all the economies out there, especially for the emerging economies. So that is correct. US dollar weakened considerably in 2024. No, sir, this is wrong. US dollar has not weakened, rather US dollar has become more strong, or it has remained strong, not weak. So in comparison to the currencies of advanced economies as well as emerging economies. So keeping that in mind, third statement is wrong. Brazil assumed the G20 presidency from India for 2023-24 with the theme Building a Just World and a Sustainable Planet, prioritizing sustainable development, poverty reduction and global governance reforms. That is absolutely correct. तो देखो जरा रिपोर्ट में G20 प्रेसिडेंसी का जिक्र था, मैंने उससे एक पूरा पॉइंट बना दिया. अगर G20 प्रेसिडेंसी पे क्वेश्चन आया तो यही होगा कि भैया ब्राजील became the holded the presidency of G20 for 2023-24. What was the theme? And this presidency was taken from India. अब 2024-25 की प्रेसिडेंसी किसके पास थी? 2025-26 की प्रेसिडेंसी किसके पास होगी? So give me the answers in the comment section. I'm waiting. Global equity market declined sharply in 2024 owing to the sustained tight monetary policy, synchronized disinflation and stability in tariff policies. क्या ये पॉइंट सही है? This is absolutely wrong. Why it is wrong? Equity market has not declined sharply in 2024, rather it has inched up. Rather we have witnessed a growth, though there was a volatility. That is true, there is no issue with that, but it has not declined sharply. So keeping that in mind, this is wrong. So answer is going to be A option. 1, 2, 4 are correct. 1, 2, 4 are correct, but the fifth and the third statement is wrong. Clear हो गया जी? समझ आ गया? Moving on to the next question. The next question says, consider the following statement about the India's domestic economy conditions as per RBI's annual report. So according to RBI annual report, what are the economic conditions of India? And out of the options which are given on the screen, which all options are correct? Real GDP moderated to 6.5%, yet India retained its position as the fastest growing major economy because of its high consumption and all. That is true. तो अगर हम इंडिया के रियल जीडीपी ग्रोथ की बात करें, सर इट इज 6.5% फॉर 2024-25. दैट इज ट्रू. बट उससे पहले के साल में इट वाज 9.2%. दैट इज अ ह्यूज decline if we compare the growth rates only. But still India is the fastest growing major economy. According to RBI, it is still the same 6.5% for the current financial year. Fitch says 6.9%, IMF says 6.4%, World Bank says 6.3% for the current financial year. Moving on to the next point, agriculture and allied sectors. Agriculture and allied sectors, they have recorded a growth of 4.6%, which is a sharp improvement from the previous year due to the record food grain output aided by strong reservoir level and favorable weather. Is this point correct? Yes, sir. This point is correct. Yes or no? That is absolutely true. The second statement is absolutely correct. Agriculture and allied activities, the agriculture sector has witnessed a growth of 4.6%. Industrial sector accelerated at 7.5%. No, sir. Industrial sector has accelerated, no doubt, but it has grown by only 4.3% in 2024-25. So growth was moderate. Not very high. Next point is service sector of India has witnessed a growth of 7.5%. True. It has contributed 64.1% of the gross value addition. True. That is absolutely correct. India achieved a global milestone in climate action, featuring in the top 10 performers of CCPI 2025 for the 6th straight year since 2020. This is also correct. India is in the top 10 nations which is fighting against the climate scenario. So answer to this particular question is 1, 2, 4, 5. So A option is absolutely the correct answer. Many of you have given the correct answer. Pretty good. Guys, if you haven't liked the session yet, I would request you quickly hit the like button. If you haven't shared the session with your friends, I would request you quickly share the session with your friends so that more and more students, they can join us live. Moving on to the next one. Now, you have a question related to CCP. So I have come up with the CCPI index only. So I have a pure question on CCPI index ताकि मैं आपको वो index जल्दी से revise करा दूँ. So please pay attention. What does this index say? Sir, this index says that India ranked in top 10 performers for the 6th consecutive year since 2020 in the Climate Change Performance Index. That is true. Climate Change Performance Index evaluated 64 entities, 63 countries and 1 European Union, covering more than 90% of the global greenhouse gas emission. Again, sir, absolutely the correct answer. CCPI is jointly published by UNEP, IPCC, World Bank. No, sir. Please pay attention. CCPI is jointly published by German Watch. It is jointly published by German Watch plus New Climate Institute by New Climate Institute as well as Climate Action Network तो जो भी टर्म्स आपकी स्क्रीन पर लिखे they all are wrong. इन तीनों का कोई रोल नहीं है. These are the 3 organizations which publish it. So third statement is wrong. Greenhouse gas emission carry the highest weightage in the index at 40%. What is this point all about कि सर ये index weightage क्या है, क्या बात करना चाह रहे हैं, इस पे क्या डिस्कशन होना चाहिए. तो इस पॉइंट को जरा डिटेल में डिस्कस करने की कोशिश करते हैं. व्हाट डज दिस पॉइंट सेज? सी द क्वेश्चन इज हाउ सीसीपीआई इज कैलकुलेटेड, है ना. सीसीपीआई जो है, दिस इज द इंडेक्स व्हिच इज कैलकुलेटेड एंड दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू आइडेंटिफाई दैट हाउ countries are trying their level best to fight against, to stand strong against the climate issues which are prevailing globally. So उसके लिए क्या क्या steps लिए जाते हैं, उसके आधार पर this ranking is basically given. And in case of evaluation, highest weightage of 40% is given to greenhouse gas emission. That is true. Greenhouse gas emission, अगर मैं greenhouse gas emission की बात करूं, so in that particular case greenhouse gas emission को जो weightage है that is 40%. that is absolutely correct. But renewable energy weightage is 20%. Then we have energy use weightage is 20%. Then we have climate policy weightage is again 20%. Remember that. So this is correct. Denmark retained its 4th rank as the top performer with no country occupying the top 3 ranks. That is absolutely correct. Top 3 rank किसी भी कंट्री को नहीं दिया. Denmark is on the 4th, so that is correct. So answer इसका भी बनेगा A option. 1, 2, 4, 5 are correct. ठीक है जी, समझ आया, क्लियर हुआ, मजा आया. चलो जी अगले क्वेश्चन की ओर बढ़ते हैं. अगला क्वेश्चन देखो. कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स रिगार्डिंग द इंडियाज क्लाइमेट चेंज मेजर्स एंड इन्फ्लेशन 2024-25. तो इंडिया ने क्या क्या मेजर्स लिए रिलेटेड टू क्लाइमेट चेंज मेजर्स एज वेल एज विद रिस्पेक्ट टू इन्फ्लेशन. मैंने 2 पॉइंट्स को कंबाइन कर दिया बिकॉज यू कैन हैव अ कॉम्बिनेशन question as well. So India ranked among the top 10 performers in the Climate Change Performance Index 2025 for the 6th consecutive year. That is true. More than 10 lakh households installed rooftop solar or rooftop solar panels under the Pradhan Mantri's Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. That is true. PM E-Drive scheme targets achieving 30% electric vehicle target by 2030. That is true. Headline inflation has increased to 5.4%. No, sir. Headline inflation for the financial year 2024-25 has increased to 4.6% only, and that too, if I say it has increased, it has decreased to, rather it has moderated to 4.6%, which was 5.4% in 2023. 324. तो 2023-24 में it was 5.4, but in 2024-25 it was 4.6. तो fourth statement is wrong. Deflation in the fuel group was recorded at minus 2.5%, driven by fall in LPG and kerosene prices owing to the softer global prices. What say? Is this point correct? Yes, sir. This point is absolutely true. तो जो आपका fuel group है उसमें deflation हुआ, that is correct. So answer is going to be A option. 1, 2, 3, 5 are correct. Moving on to the 8th question. With reference to the liquidity conditions, RBI policy measures and labor market trend in the financial year 2024 according to RBI's annual report are the first point. The first point talks about what? So the first point talks about the system liquidity. So the system liquidity moved from surplus in July and November 2024 to December 2024 to March 2025 as deficit. बिल्कुल सही है सर. इसे ओवरकम करने के लिए RBI has floated around 9.5 lakh crore rupees of liquidity in the market through open market operation, through VRR, through USD INR swap agreements. That is true. Monetary Policy Committee shifted its policy stance to neutral in October 2024 while also reducing the CRR by 50 basis point in December, that is in October and December, that is true. Domestic equities surged to fresh peaks throughout 2024-25 driven by robust GDP growth and sustained FPI inflows. No sir, this statement is absolutely wrong. जो आपकी country के domestic equities है और equities है, they have first surged in the first half, पहले half में they have increased, then declined due to GDP as well as FPI concerns as per the labor force participation report as well as the working participation report or workforce participation report. So in that particular case, if I talk about the labor force participation ratio and working participation ratio has reached their highest level since inspection. Is this point clear? See, if I talk about as per the PLFS, the unemployment rate remained unchanged at 3.2%, while labor force participation report and working participation report has reached to its highest peaks. That is absolutely correct. I'm talking about this in comparison to 2017-18 data. The share of self-employed in the workforce has been declining since 2018-19. ना यार, कहाँ? Entrepreneurs बढ़ते जा रहे हैं, startups बढ़ते जा रहे हैं, तो ये तो logical question है. So that particular reason it is wrong. दिसंबर में 0.5% कम हुआ था गौरव, चेक कर लेना. 100 basis point जो कम हुआ है that has been witnessed in the month of April. So first point में अगर liquidity infuse की थी वो deficit कैसे होगा? बेटा deficit था ना, देखो जुलाई से नवंबर surplus था, दिसंबर में डेफिसिट हो गया, जनवरी में इन्फ्यूज करना शुरू किया, लेकिन मार्च तक जो आपका बैंकिंग सेगमेंट था वहां पे डेफिशिएंसी रही, बट इन अप्रैल ऑनवर्ड्स योर बैंकिंग सेक्टर बिकेम सरप्लस. तो ये लिक्विडिटी जो है इट्स अबाउट द सरप्लस विद द बैंकिंग सेक्टर. दैट इज अ पॉइंट. इज इट क्लियर खुशी? क्लियर हुआ? चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. With reference to the India's financial and external sector development during 2024-25, consider the following statements. इसके बेसिस पे अगर मैं कहूं, the gross fiscal deficit of the center declined to 4.7% in the financial year 2024-25 from 5.5% years ago. That is true. While the consolidated means consolidated gross fiscal deficit of all the states has been continued within the budget estimate of 3.2% of GDP. That is absolutely correct. So I'm talking about the budget estimates, revised estimates for 2024-25. Then we have the effective capital expenditure has slowed down to 5.2% in 2024-25 in comparison to 5.8% during the same period. That is correct. तो अगर हम बात करें revenue, capital expenditure growth has slowed down to 5.2% from 19.8% in 2023-24, whereas the revenue expenditure has increased by 5.8%. ये बिल्कुल सही figures हैं. Remember these figures. The next point is merchandise trade deficit has narrowed to $241 billion. No, sir, it has widened to $282 billion in 2024-25 और ये $241 billion था कब? 2023-24 में. So it has widened, not narrowed. तो ये गलत हो गया. net foreign direct investment inflows during 2024-25 stood at $0.4 billion, which is lower than $10.1 billion in the previous year. बिल्कुल net foreign investment मैं already बता चुका हूं. I hope it is clear. WMA, that is Ways and Means Advances limits, raised to 60,000 crores from 47,000 crores effectively in July 2024. That is correct. So answer क्या बनेगा? So B option will be the answer. 1, 2, 4, 5 are correct, but the third statement is wrong. Absolutely correct, Kushi. Moving on to the next question. अगला question देखो, मजेदार question है. मजेदार question है. You will enjoy this. What does the question say? Please pay attention and try to understand it. The question says reserve money growth adjusted for CRR changes slowed to 5.8% in 2024-25, which was 6.7%. So I'm talking about reserve money. Reserve money means, what is reserve money, guys? कोई बता पाएगा? Anyone can give me the answer. What is reserve money? It's an important question. It's an important question. Okay, I'll tell you. Reserve money basically means the RBI balance sheets. If I talk about the reserve money, we talk about, or we understand the word of reserve money from the RBI balance sheet, which size has fallen down from 23.5% to 22.8% of GDP. So यहाँ पे याद रखना एक point, RBI's balance sheet has fallen down to 22.8% of GDP, which was 23.5% of GDP. So this is an important point which you need to remember. Okay. Next point is, if I talk about the composition, so it includes cash in circulation. 76.9% of the reserve money is cash in circulation. Bankers deposit with RBI is 20.8%, which has fell down in comparison to the previous year, and this fell down is because of decrease in CRR. CRR कम कर दिया, banks का deposit with RBI will fall down, so that is correct. अब options पढ़ते हैं. Reserve money growth adjusted for CRR slowed to 5.8% compared to 6.7%. बिल्कुल सही है, बिल्कुल सही point है. Currency in circulation is around 3/4, that is 76%. As I said, grew faster at 5.8%. That is true. Banker deposit with RBI has fell down, not increase. It has fell down, fell 6.5% because of decrease in CRR. So this is wrong. The share of gold in the net foreign assets. If I talk about the share of gold in the net foreign assets, it has increased by 2.8 lakh crore rupees. It has increased by 2.8 lakh crore rupees, which means it has increased to 12%, which was earlier 8.3%. That is true. RBI's balance sheet size has expanded to 22.8% in 2024-25 from 23.5% in 2023-24, reflecting larger open market operation. तो सर ये expand कैसे हुआ? पढ़ो तो सही. फिगर बिल्कुल सही है, फिगर में गलती नहीं है. अगर आप फिगर्स में गलती ढूंढोगे, you will be wrong. ये वर्डिंग में गलती है, इंटरप्रिटेशन गलत निकल रहा है. So answer is going to be 1, 2, 4. So A option is the correct answer. Moving on to the next question. अगला question देखो जरा. What does the next question says? With reference to the money supply, that is M3, which include cash with public as well as the deposits of the public with the bank, including demand deposit as well as term deposit. उसके basis पे M3 growth decelerated to 9.6%. Is it a case? Just go through with the question, guys. Give me a second. I'll be right back. I'll just get some water for myself. You go through with the question and give me the answer. Anji, what is the answer? A option. Chalo, I'll go through with it. Give me a second. So what does the question say? So the question says M3 growth decelerated to 9.6% in 2024-25. Is this true? Is this statement true? Okay, chalo. I'll give you the answers now. Please pay attention. I'll just give you the highlights. So M3 growth has slowed down from to 9.6% versus the 11.2% in the previous year. That is true. Next point we have is net bank credit to government. Net bank credit to government has increased to 11.2%, which was earlier 5.7%. That is true. The currency deposit ratio has fell down to 15.4%. This is for the current year and this is for the previous year. So data jo hai, this is for the current year and this is for the previous year. So this is wrong. So this is a wrong statement. Then we have the money multiplier. The money multiplier improved to 5.7%. The money multiplier improved to 5.7%, reflecting both lower currency deposit and reserve deposit ratios. अगर मैं इसकी बात करूं, both the currency deposit ratio and reserve deposit ratio, they have decreased. That is correct. Money multiplier has increased to 5.7%. That is also correct. The velocity of money, that is GDP by M3, declined sharply in 2024-25. So velocity of money remained stable. There was no sharp decline. So this is wrong. So answer is going to be A option. 1, 2, 4 are correct. बढ़िया, जिन्होंने सही आंसर दिया बहुत बढ़िया. सर करेंसी डिपॉजिट रेशियो फेल टू 5.4 एज कंपेयर टू 5.9. वाइल ठीक है, मैं भी वही कह रहा हूँ. आई गेस इट इज करेक्ट. मैंने कुछ गलत तो नहीं कहा अमी आई होप आई हैव नॉट सेड एनीथिंग रॉन्ग. अगर कुछ गलत कहा है तो बता दो, वरना आई विल मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. Okay, the next question says, which of the following statement correctly reflects the trend in the India's credit growth? बताओ जरा. सर अगर हम इस पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट की बात करें, वन सेकेंड, आई एम सॉरी. अगर हम इस पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट की बात करें, पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक ग्रू फास्टर देन द प्राइवेट सेक्टर बैंक बट कंटिन्यू टू होल्ड द स्मॉलर शेयर ऑफ टोटल क्रेडिट. नो सर, इट इज रॉन्ग. Public sector bank has grown faster and they still hold the largest share in the total credit. That is the point. So this will be wrong. It is opposite. Medium industries as well as the metal and engineering were strong drivers of industrial growth, while the large industries and infrastructure remained weak. That is correct. Services sector credit growth lost momentum mainly due to the slowdown in NBFC. True. Despite growth consistently outpaced credit growth, eliminating the need for banks to issue certificate of deposit. This is wrong. Deposit growth was less than credit growth. तो जो आपका deposit growth था, that was less than the credit growth, जिसकी वजह से bank have to issue more certificate deposit. So this is wrong. Personal loan remained robust overall, with housing sector or housing loan leading. Those segments like credit card and vehicle loans, they have shown slowing trends. That is correct. So answer to this particular question would be 2, 3, 4, 5. So B option is absolutely the correct answer. अगला question देखते हैं. Which of the following statement correctly reflects the financial market developments? We have global financial market as well as domestic financial market. Let's talk about it. Global financial market were stable as most central banks followed a uniform tightening policy to counter sticky services inflation. No sir, अगर ये stable ही होती, अगर आपकी financial markets में stability होती, तो ये tighten policy की जरूरत ही नहीं थी. So most of the central banks, they have come up with the tighten policy. That is correct, but all no, some tightened, some eased. So global markets were volatile. I would say they are still almost volatile, not stable. Central bank did not follow a uniform policy. So this is wrong. Divergent monetary policy were observed globally, with some central banks tightening further while others paused or eased. So that is correct. In India, the weighted average call rate largely tracked The repo rate, इंडिया में जो weighted average call rate था, that was close to repo rate, that is correct. Commercial papers issuance in India fell as companies shifted towards long-term borrowing. No, sir. Commercial paper has been increased. This has been increased. It has risen in comparison to the previous year. Government securities yield in India declined partly because of their inclusion in the global bond indices. That is true. India में जो government securities है उनकी yield कम हुई है. That is absolutely correct. So answer is going to be 2, 3, 5 क्योंकि उनके prices बढ़ गए. Due to increase in price, the yield decreases. We know that. Moving on to the 14th question. Which of the following statement correctly describe India's financial market in 2024-25? The weighted average call rate stayed broadly aligned with the repo rate, reflecting stable liquidity condition. That is correct. बिल्कुल सही है. 10-year government security yield rose from 6.58 to 7.01. No, sir, it's other way around. This is wrong. It has decreased from 7.01% to 6.58%. The corporate bond spreads over government security widened even though corporate earnings were robust. तो जो आपका corporate bonds है, if I talk about them, so the corporate bond spread over government securities widened even though corporate earnings were robust. No, sir. Spread widened because earnings slowed down, not because they were robust. तो याद रखना ये जो spread है वो क्यों बढ़ा, क्योंकि सर जो government securities या corporate earnings है, they have shrunk, उसकी वजह से एक gap बढ़ा. That is a point. Equity market touched the record high in the first half, but the later corrected due to FPI outflows, weak growth, global tension. Nothing to discuss. Very clear. Rupee depreciated by 2.4% against US dollar and ending around 85.46 rupees per dollar. That is correct. So answer to this particular question would be 145. So answer is C option. Many of you have given the correct answer. Oh, no. Only Khushi has given the correct answer. So C option is correct. Moving on to the next one. Match the following figures. एक तरफ मैंने डेटा लिख दिया, दूसरी तरफ मैंने पॉइंट्स लिख दिए. लेट्स मैच देम अप. क्लोजिंग लेवल ऑफ सेंसेक्स वैसे तो नहीं पता, लेकिन सेंसेक्स की वैल्यू तो यही होगी 77,000. रुपी डेप्रीसिएशन ड्यूरिंग द ईयर. सो रुपी का डेप्रीसिएशन पूछा है तो इट इज अराउंड 2.4%. अभी पढ़ा हमने. 10-year गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटी की यील्ड हैज बीन 6.58%. Yield on the 10-year government security in the beginning was 7.01%. That is true. Exchange rate has decreased to 85.46. That is correct. अब A गया फर्स्ट के साथ, तो उसके हिसाब से ये ऑप्शंस तो हमारे कैंसिल आउट हो गए. B गया है हमारा फोर्थ के साथ. तो अगर मैं फोर्थ पे जाऊं और B को चेक करूं तो उस हिसाब से हमारी ये ऑप्शन गई. C की बात करें तो सर C has gone with third option. If C has gone with third option in that particular context, हमारा आंसर will be C option only. इसमें जो हमारा करेक्ट आंसर होगा that will be C option only. मजा आया? It's a new type of question. I am pretty sure you must have enjoyed it. आगे बढ़े. Just give me a second. मैं ना ये हटा देता हूँ so that you can see the slides properly. चलो. Moving on to the next question, guys. अगला क्वेश्चन क्या कहता है? कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट रिगार्डिंग द गवर्नमेंट फाइनेंसेस फॉर 2024-25. तो व्हाट इज द कंडीशन ऑफ गवर्नमेंट फाइनेंसेस फॉर 2024-25? Gross fiscal deficit was maintained at 4.7% of the GDP, lower than the budget 4.9%. This is the data for 2024 revised estimates. This is for the revised estimates. That is correct. Revenue expenditure has increased by 5.8%. Mainly due to the higher pension and lower food subsidy. That is true. Grants to states increased from 1.6% of GDP to 1.8%. Grants to states actually fall down. Grants to states has actually decreased from 1.8% to 6. So from 1.8 to 1.6%. That is correct. Capital expenditure remains strong at 3.1% of GDP, slightly below the previous year's 3.2%. So that is absolutely correct. Non-tax revenue increased sharply, largely due to the RBI surplus transfer. That is also correct. So answer is going to be A option 1, 2, 4, 5. That is absolutely the correct answer. Agla question. Consider the following statement on government financing, but this time you have to talk about the budget estimate for 2025-26. I hope आपको पता ही है 2024-25 के budget estimate थे, फिर revised estimates आए, ये important है. 2025-26 के लिए budget estimates are important. So let's talk about the budget estimates. What this says: central government's effective capital expenditure, including capital grant, is budgeted at 4.3% of the GDP. That is true. India's gross tax to GDP ratio is projected to be 12% and it is going to be highest since 2007-8. This is very important and this is the absolutely correct statement. So mark it out. The next point we have is states combined gross fiscal deficit is budgeted at 3.3% in the financial year 2025-26, higher than the previous year budget estimates, higher than the previous year budget estimates. तो पिछले साल जो budget estimate था उसके हिसाब से 3.2% था, but this time it is 3.3%. That is also correct. अगला है the general government gross fiscal deficit is 7.6% of the GDP for 2024-25, a decline from 8.8% in 2023-24. General government gross fiscal deficit. This is absolutely correct. IMF has projected India's debt to GDP ratio will rise steadily until 2030. So IMF projected that India's debt to GDP will not rise, rather it will decline. So keeping that in mind, A option is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth option is wrong. Many of you have given the correct answer. बढ़िया. अगला क्वेश्चन देखते हैं. अगला क्वेश्चन क्या कहता है? कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट ऑन इंडियाज एक्सटर्नल सेक्टर. एक्सटर्नल सेक्टर की बात करें तो मर्केंडाइज एक्सपोर्ट्स grew marginally to $437 billion, led by sectors such as electronics, engineering goods, pharmaceuticals, and rice. Is it correct? That is absolutely correct. Imports, they have increased faster. अगर मैं merchandise की बात करूं, merchandise exports बढ़ा है, but it's pretty low in comparison to merchandise import, which has increased 6.2%. That is absolutely correct. और इसमें जो मेजर कंट्रीब्यूशन है दैट इज गोल्ड एंड इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गुड्स. दैट इज करेक्ट. अगला पॉइंट है द मर्केंडाइज ट्रेड डेफिसिट वाइडन्ड टू $282 billion with nearly half of it accounted by the oil imports. Half of it थोड़ा सा टफ होगा बोलना क्योंकि it is approximately 43.3%. It is approximately 43.3%. तो अभी के लिए मैं इसको पॉइंट ऑफ डाउट रखता हूं. नेक्स्ट इज इंडियाज trade surplus improved with US, Netherlands, UAE, while the deficit widened with China and Russia. Remember that trade surplus improved with US, Netherlands, and UK, not with UAE. While the trade deficit has widened with Russia, China, and we have trade deficit relationship with UAE. We don't have surplus trade with UAE. That is the point which you need to note down. On a balance of payment basis, foreign exchange reserves declined between April to December 2024 due to the net capital inflows falling short of current account deficit. बिल्कुल सर, जो आपका current account deficit है that is greater than capital account surplus, जिसकी वजह से your forex reserves will fall down. This is correct. So answer is going to be A option 1, 2, 3, 5. I'll consider 3 correct क्योंकि मेरे पास 1 to 5 का कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है. लेकिन मैंने इसको मार्क क्यों किया? 43.3 को अप्रोक्सीमेटली हाफ बोलना थोड़ा सा ओवरवेलमिंग है, बट ठीक है, कोई बात. मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. विद रेफरेंस टू द इंडियाज एक्सटर्नल सेक्टर, वी हैव वन मोर क्वेश्चन. द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन सेज इंडिया रिकॉर्डेड द वर्ल्ड्स हाईएस्ट रेमिटेंस एट $137.7 billion. That is true, and there is a growth of 16.2%. That is true. Despite of gross FDI inflows touching $81 billion, the net FDI moderated sharply due to higher outward investment and profit repatriation. That is correct. Portfolio investment has witnessed a sharp shift with equity outflows offset by debt inflows driven by India's inclusion in the global bond indices. That is wrong. और करेक्ट, दैट इज एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. कैसे कि सर अगर आप इक्विटी आउटफ्लो की बात करेंगे दैट इज -$15.7 billion, और अगर आप डेट इनफ्लोज की बात करेंगे सो दैट इज पॉजिटिव $17.4 billion, एंड द रीजन इज ऑल्सो करेक्ट. India was ranked 4th globally in the Greenfield FDI capital investment announcement. सर इंडिया वॉज रैंक 4th, ये तो ठीक है. बिहाइंड यूएस, फ्रांस, जर्मनी. ना सर ये जर्मनी गलत है. बिहाइंड यूएस, फ्रांस, यूके. देख रहे हो एग्जामिनर ने कहां पकड़ा. सो इट इज US, France, UK, which you need to remember. The current account deficit widened to 1.3%, that is correct. और current जो 2025-26 का quarter है, April to June, it was 0.2%. That is also correct. So keeping that in mind, 1, 2, 3, 5 are correct. But the fourth option is incorrect. तो आपका आंसर जो बनेगा that will be A option. ठीक है जी, अगला क्वेश्चन देखो. With reference to the India's external vulnerability indicators in 2024-25, consider the following statements. अगर मैं इन statements की बात करूं, India's external debt to GDP ratio has increased marginally to 19.1%, which is still one of the lowest among the emerging economies. We are talking about external debt to GDP, not total debt to GDP. So keeping that in mind, this statement is correct. This value percentage is correct. The share of short-term debt in the total external debt has increased to 42.4%. Share of short-term debt has not increased. I guess that has fallen down, if I'm not wrong. If I'm not wrong, I guess it has fallen down. What do you say? What do you say, guys? Has it fallen down or it has increased? Give me the answer. Give me the answer. Chalo. Sorry. You think about it. By the time I will move on to the next option, क्योंकि ये काफी important है, so you have to remember this. If we talk about this particular scenario, you need to understand that the criteria which I would like to discuss over here is short-term debt is 42.2% of the total external debt, which has decreased, showing reduced dependence on the short-term borrowings. तो ये जो point है, it is very important, इसलिए I have took a pause on this. Sir, ये जो value है, data is correct, but it has decreased in comparison to the previous year. Previously, this percentage was pretty high, so that is the reason second statement is wrong. ठीक है जी, moving on to the third statement. India's forex reserve was sufficient to cover more than twice the short-term external debt. That is true. At end March 2025, reserves covered about 11 months of the merchandise imports. That is correct. Net international investment position deteriorated during 2024. No, sir. It has improved. It has not deteriorated. It has improved. So keeping that in mind, fifth statement is wrong. तो आंसर क्या बनेगा सर? आंसर बनेगा 1, 2, 1, 3, 5. So 1, 3, 4, sorry. So answer is going to be A option. That is absolutely correct. अगला देखो. With reference to the RBI's working and operation in 2024-25, consider the following statement. अगर मैं following statements की बात करूं, in October 2024, Monetary Policy Committee shifted its stance from neutral to withdrawal of accommodation. Withdrawal of accommodation? नहीं sir, this is opposite. From withdrawal of accommodation, we have gone to neutral. The policy rate or repo rate reduced in February by 25 basis point or 0.25%. That is correct. CRR was reduced to 4% in December 2024. Bilkul sir, CRR was 4.5% and then it was reduced to 4% from 4.5%. That is correct. Agla point hai. Daily variable rate repo auctions were introduced in January 2025 to increase the liquidity. That is correct. Transmission of repo rate cut to loan rate was stronger in the public sector banks. This is wrong. अगर आप repo rate cut का ट्रांसमिशन देखेंगे तो वो प्राइवेट बैंक्स में ज्यादा है इन कंपैरिजन टू पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स, क्योंकि प्राइवेट सेक्टर बैंक्स दे आर प्रोवाइडिंग मेजॉरिटी लोन्स ऑन EBLR, दैट इज एक्सटर्नल बेंचमार्क लेंडिंग रेट, इन कंपैरिजन टू पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक जिनका आज भी मेजॉरिटी लोन MCLR या फिर बेस रेट पे दिया गया. तो उसके हिसाब से फिफ्थ स्टेटमेंट रॉन्ग हो गई. तो मेरा आंसर क्या बनेगा? सी ऑप्शन 2, 3, 4 आर करेक्ट. अगला क्वेश्चन देखो. विद रेफरेंस टू RBI's operations for 2024-25 एजेंडा फॉर 2025-26 विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स आर करेक्ट. तो आरबीआई के ऑपरेशंस के हिसाब से आरबीआई ने क्या टारगेट सेट की है 2025-26 के लिए? ट्रांसमिशन ऑफ रेपो रेट कट was stronger in the public sector bank than private sector banks. No sir, it was not stronger. It was slow. Private sector banks mein it was more strong. Outstanding loans weighted average lending rate increased for the credit cards, vehicle, एक्सपोर्ट क्रेडिट एज वेल एज एग्रीकल्चर। तो जो आउटस्टैंडिंग लोन था, आउटस्टैंडिंग लोन का जो वेटेड एवरेज लेंडिंग रेट है दैट इज इंक्रीज, दिस इज ट्रू। The share of EBLR linked loans declined in favor of MCLR linked loan. No sir, EBLR latest है तो उसका डिक्लाइन थोड़ा ना होगा, उसका शेयर तो इंक्रीज होगा, so this is wrong. Next is RBI plans to collect sectoral credit data from housing finance companies to improve NBFC credit assessment. That is correct. This is the agenda for 2025-26. The agenda for 2025-26 include a spatial cross-sectional analysis of household consumption. This is correct. So answer is going to be 2, 4, 5. B option is correct. 1 and 3rd statement are wrong. Got it guys? Maza aa raha? I hope you all are enjoying the session. Give me yes sir in the comment section please. Give me yes sir in the comment section. Okay. With reference to the India's credit delivery and financial inclusion for 2024-25, which of the following statements are correct? Overall, priority sector lending achievement was below the 40% mandate. No sir, this is wrong. Overall was 43.1%, which is above the mandate. Remember that. The next is outstanding credit under the Kisan credit card increased despite decline in the operative accounts. बिल्कुल सही है सर, operative accounts का नंबर कम हुआ है, but और ये जो नंबर कम हुआ है इट इज 2.7%, डिक्लाइन इज 2.7%, लेकिन जो वैल्यू ऑफ लोन इंक्रीज हुआ है, जो वैल्यू ऑफ लोन इंक्रीज हुआ है, जो आउटस्टैंडिंग इंक्रीज हुआ है दैट इज 4.5%. कोलैटरल फ्री एग्रीकल्चर लोन लिमिट has now increased to 2 lakh rupees. That is correct. Universal Village Access Initiative achieved 99.99% coverage of the identified villages and hamlets. That is also correct. Financial Literacy Week focused on digital payment for rural prosperity. No sir, this time theme was women prosperity. याद कर लो, इंपॉर्टेंट है, देख लो कितना ब्यूटीफुली मैंने इस पॉइंट को आपके लिए क्वेश्चन में इंक्लूड किया है. एंजॉइंग से यस और नो. तो आंसर क्या बनेगा सर? 2, 3, 4 करेक्ट. बी ऑप्शन करेक्ट होगी. 5th स्टेटमेंट इज द रॉन्ग आंसर. बहुत बढ़िया. जिसने ये आइडेंटिफाई कर लिया था कि थीम इनकरेक्ट है, यू आर डूइंग अ गुड जॉब. देयर इज अ ग्रेट प्रोबेबिलिटी यू आर गोइंग टू स्कोर प्रीटी गुड मार्क्स इन द अपकमिंग एग्जामिनेशन. नेक्स्ट इज with reference to India's credit delivery, financial inclusion, literacy initiatives in 2024-25, identify the correct statements. First one is EDDPE. इसकी full form देना मुझे comment section में. Achieved 100% coverage in over 60% of the districts, exceeding the target of 50%. That is correct. बिल्कुल सही है. Universal village access covered exactly 100% of the villages. No sir, it is 99.99%. Financial Inclusion Index has witnessed a growth of 6.8% on year basis to reach 64.2 as March 2024 and to reach 67 as of March 2025. So this is correct. Financial Literacy Week theme is digital payment for women prosperity. So 4th statement is wrong. MSME were given faster loan processing with a TAT for 14 days. अब 14 days का टैट दे दिया अगर आपके लोन वैल्यू या डिमांड ऑफ लोन इज 25 lakhs और अप टू 25 lakhs. दैट इज करेक्ट. सो आंसर इज गोइंग टू बी सी ऑप्शन. 1, 3, 4, 5 करेक्ट है. सेकंड स्टेटमेंट रॉन्ग है. ठीक है जी, करेक्ट हो गया पॉइंट. अगला पॉइंट देखो. विद रेफरेंस टू द आरबीआई's फॉरेन एक्सचेंज मैनेजमेंट इनिशिएटिव फॉर 2024-25, आइडेंटिफाई द करेक्ट स्टेटमेंट. आरबीआई allowed residents at IFSC to hedge gold price risk via OTC derivatives. Forward contract in the government securities were introduced to manage short-term interest rate volatility. Exchange of initial margin was mandated for non-centrally cleared over-the-counter derivatives in May 2024. Access to NDS OM platform was restricted to banks only. SRO framework for financial market was issued in 2024. So the answer is first statement is correct. Residents at IFSC allowed gold price risk hedging at over-the-counter. This is true. Forward contracts in the government securities were introduced for long term, not for short term. They were introduced for long term, not for short term. Interest rate risk, not short term. So the next is third statement. The third statement talk about exchange of initial margin. Exchange of initial margin was mandated for non-centrally cleared over the counter. For non-centrally cleared over the counter derivatives. Is this point correct? over the counter derivatives. Is this point correct? Give me the answer. तो इस क्वेश्चन की अगर मैं बात करूं, सर NDS-OM प्लेटफॉर्म नहीं, exchange of initial margin was mandated for non-centrally cleared OTC derivatives in May 2024. That is absolutely correct. जो exchange of initial margin mandated है, that is for this only. Access to NDS-OM platform access was widened to SEBI registered non-bank brokers, not restricted to banks only. तो ये पॉइंट आप याद रखिएगा कि सर ये जो NDS-OM का एक्सपेंशन था वो किया था जहां पर नॉन बैंक सेबी रजिस्टर्ड ब्रोकर्स को इंक्लूड किया गया था. सो दिस इज रॉन्ग. SRO फ्रेमवर्क फॉर द फाइनेंशियल मार्केट वाज इशूड इन 2024. दैट इज करेक्ट. सो आंसर क्या बनेगा? 135 बी ऑप्शन इज द करेक्ट आंसर. जिसने करेक्ट आंसर दिया बहुत बढ़िया. एक्सपैंडिंग and deepening of digital payment ecosystem, absolutely correct. This is the correct full form of EDDPE. That is correct. Agla, with reference to RBI financial market operation and foreign exchange management in 2024-25, which of the following statements are correct? First one is FMOD enhanced liquidity management using ASISO and eCubate 2.0 module. Is it correct? That is absolutely correct. FX swap auction module under eCubate 2.0 was fully implemented in 2024-25. नहीं सर, जो foreign exchange swap auction module है, that is under development. It is not fully implemented, so this is wrong. Then we have special what is this SNRR? ये मैं पहले भी शायद एक बार आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ. So these are the accounts which are allowed to PRYs to facilitate FDI FPI transactions in India. तो जो हमारे person with Indian origin, if they want, they can go with this particular transaction of FDI FPI with the help of this particular account. That is correct. SNRR की full form देना जल्दी से. RBI based supervisory framework for FFMC, that is full-fledged FFMC as a full-fledged money converter and non-bank authorized dealer category 2 was introduced. That is true. Fifth statement says RBI restricted cross-border settlement in INR to only IFSC. No. This is wrong. Cross-border INR settlement was expanded to partner currencies and IFSCs. It is not restricted only to IFSC. So keeping that in mind, answer is going to be B option. So special non-resident rupee account, that is absolutely correct. Agla question देखो. With reference to RBI's regulation, supervision and financial stability operations, the Department of Supervision handles cyber risk management, fraud management and PCA for the urban cooperative banks. Is this point correct? This is absolutely correct. The fintech department focuses on ARCs as well as NBFCs and housing finance companies. नहीं sir, fintech department का काम है to focus on digital currency, to focus on fintechs which are operating, to focus on SRO framework, not on ARCs and all. The Financial Stability Department is responsible for macro-prudential surveillance and publishing financial stability reports. That is absolutely correct statement. Next is Consumer Education and Protection Department conducts awareness campaigns and grievance redressal. That is correct. RBI ignored climate risk change. No sir, RBI has not ignored climate change risk, while RBI has talked about it in much detail. So answer is going to be 134. So B option is correct. Second and fifth statement are wrong. Moving on to the next. Regarding the Financial Stability Department of RBI, consider the following statement. Financial Stability Department serve as a secretariat to the FSDC subcommittee, which is headed by RBI Governor and publishes half-yearly financial stability report. That is absolutely correct. Macro stress testing for scheduled commercial bank incorporated market risk and extended the stressed horizon to 1.5 to 2 years. That is absolutely correct. अब जो stress horizon है उसे 1.5 से 2 साल कर दिया. That is correct. Non-banking sector stability was monitored using a new stability index. That is correct, which is developed. New stability index and liquidity stress test was also introduced. That is correct. तो यहाँ पे हम याद करेंगे क्या? Non-banking stability index was developed and LCR based liquidity stress test was also introduced for the banks. 2024-25 agenda included developing growth at risk models लिंकिंग vulnerability to economic growth, ये सही है, एजेंडा सही है, लेकिन this agenda is not for 2024-25, this agenda is for the current financial year 2025-26. FSD implemented LCR based stress test for NBFCs in 2024-25, नहीं सर, इसे implement किया है अभी 2025-26 में. It was said that it will be implemented in 2025-26, so keeping that in mind, A option is correct. समझ आ गई बात? खुशी अम्मी, समझ आया कहाँ गलत हो? समझ आया where you are doing wrong? क्लियर हो गया? डेटा सही था, आपने जो बोला वो सही था, लेकिन जो फाइनेंशियल ईयर था दैट वाज रॉन्ग. एंजॉइंग, डू रिप्लाई. शैल वी मूव अहेड? अरे रिप्लाई तो कर दो भाई, समझ आया या नहीं? ठीक है, अगला क्वेश्चन देखो. अगला क्वेश्चन क्या कहता है? कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट रिगार्डिंग आरबीआई's डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ रेगुलेशन. So if I talk about the Department of Regulation regulates commercial banks, cooperative banks, NBFCs, credit information companies, all India financial institutes, while aligning regulations with the international best practices. Absolutely word by word the correct answer. The next point is Digital Lending Transparency Guidelines were introduced under RBI Digital Lending Guidelines 2025. Correct, nothing wrong. Connected Lending's unified framework was fully implemented in 2024-25. Connected Lending unified framework. Connected Lending unified framework का मतलब अगर मैं कहूँ तो we are basically talking about the co-lending वाला framework. और ये जो co-lending वाला framework है, it has not been implemented in 2024-25. This is wrong. It has been implemented in 2025-26. Project finance prudential norms are aligned with expected credit loss framework. That is correct. Standalone primary dealers market risk framework was reviewed to comply with Basel norms 3. That is correct. So answer क्या बनेगा? So 1, 2, 4, 5. B option is correct. Third option is absolutely wrong. So B option is the correct answer. अब जो आपके standalone primary dealers, authorized dealer category 3 है, they are allowed to participate in the non-deliverable rupee derivatives as well. Got it? Moving on to the next one. Consider the following statement regarding the RBI regulatory development in 2024-25. The digital lending apps directory was created to identify illegal lending apps and it is maintained through CIMS. Is it correct? Absolutely correct. Word by word correct. Regulated entity must submit their data for the digital lending apps directory by 31st March 2025. 31st March 2025? नहीं सर, इसको एक्सटेंड कर दिया ना. This was extended till 15th of July 2025. It was extended till 15th of June 2025. तो उस हिसाब से सेकंड स्टेटमेंट गलत हो गई. Key fact guidelines cover the retail and MSME loans and require disclosure of all-in cost. That is correct. Medium and long-term government deposits under the gold monetization schemes were discontinued from 26th of March 2025. That is correct. RBI CRIS launched October 2024 provides climate risk data sets and capacity building support for regulated entities. That is correct. So इसके हिसाब से आंसर क्या बनेगा? 1, 3, 4, 5. C option is correct, but the second option is wrong. Clear खुशी? Very good. मजा आ गया. अगला क्वेश्चन. Regarding the RBI regulatory measures in 2024-25, which of the following statements are correct? Risk weights for scheduled commercial bank exposure to NBFCs were permanently increased by 25% from November 2023. So this is wrong. Risk weights for the scheduled commercial banks, 25% risk weight increase for scheduled commercial bank exposure to NBFC was temporary and later on it was restored in February 2025. So this is wrong. Revised one-time settlement guidelines require internal committee review and board approval for fraud or willful defaulter accounts above 1 crore. That is absolutely correct. Credit information reporting guidelines issued in January 2025 mandated confidentiality, consumer access, grievance redressal. That is correct. और उसके में ये भी कहा कि 15 दिन के अंदर भैया आपको अपना डेटा अपडेट करना होगा with CICs. Urban cooperative bank small value loan ceilings has increased to 0.4% of tier 1 capital and 3 crore is the monetary limit. सर 0.2 से बढ़ाकर 0.4 कर दिया और जो आपकी monetary limit है that is increased to 3 crores. That is absolutely correct. SR valuation glide path for Urban Cooperative Bank extended by 5 years till 2020 till 2030 31 नहीं सर इसे extend किया गया till 2027-28 तो इसे 2 साल का extension दिया गया ना कि 5 साल का. So this is wrong. So आंसर बनेगा 1 2 3 4 2 3 4. तो आंसर क्या बना? B option is correct. समझ आई बात? क्लियर हो गया? अगला क्वेश्चन देखो. Consider the following statements regarding RBI's 2024-25 updates on the microfinance loans and fintech. तो इस पे अगर हम बात करें, risk weight for microfinance consumer loans under RRBs as well as local area banks was reduced from 125% to 100%. This is correct. Microfinance loans under RRP with qualifying policies have revised risk weights of 75%. That is true. CBDC retail pilot included programmability for DBT to farmers using carbon credits. क्या ये सही है? बिल्कुल सही है सर. Unified lending interface was launched to integrate only public sector banks. ना sir, to the entire banking sector. Next is regulatory sandbox. 5th cohort was theme neutral, जो complete हो गया और उसमें भी कुछ successful entities निकल के आई है. That is correct. एक ही successful entry निकल के आई है. That is correct. So answer is going to be 1 2 3 5. So C option is absolutely the correct answer. Agla. Consider the following statement regarding RBI's 2024-25 initiatives on AI, fintech and fraud management. So keeping that in mind, pre-AI committee was constituted in December 2024 to guide responsibilities. That is correct. अब तो उसने अपनी रिपोर्ट भी दे दी है, हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं. अगला पॉइंट क्या कहता है? Global DPI conference in Bengaluru saw participation from 28 central banks and multilateral institutions including BIS Innovation Hub. That is correct. Absolutely correct. Next is FinConnect is a city-level rational interaction program connecting banks with public representatives. नहीं सर, ये जो FinConnect है, it is a platform connecting regulatory sandbox and RBI's Harbinger winners, regulatory sandbox successful exits and Harbinger winners with the banks, NBFCs and investors, not for the city level. For city level, we have FinTract. For that, we have FinTract. So remember that for city level, we have FinTract. So ye yaad rakhna, this is wrong. Private banks reported the highest fraud amount in the digital payments during the 2024-25. No, sir. Public sector banks have reported the highest fraud amount. So in that particular case, fourth statement is wrong. RBI plans for 2025-26 include cross-sectional cyber crisis RBI plans for 2025-26 include cross-sectional cyber crisis simulation and updation NBFC or updating NBFC supervision framework. That is correct. So answer is going to be 1 2 5. So B option is the correct answer. 3 option और fourth option correct. Wrong है वो mark कर लेना. Consider the following statement about the DICGC. All licensed banks in India, both commercial, cooperative, are mandatorily covered under wholly owned subsidiary of RBI, where the public deposit will be insured up to 5 lakh rupees per individual per bank. That is correct. The deposit insurance coverage remained 5 lakh rupees during the 2024-25. That is correct. Fully insured account percentage is 97.7%. So this is wrong. Deposit insurance fund grew over 20%. Deposit insurance fund grew over 20%. नहीं सर इतना ग्रो नहीं हुआ. वैल्यू सही है लेकिन ये जो ग्रोथ हुई है इट इज अराउंड, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, आई गेस इट इज अराउंड 15%, 15.2%. Premium collected from the banks is 0.12% per annum of the accessible deposit, which is around 26 crore rupees for the financial year 2025-26. That is correct. 27,764 crore rupees का प्रीमियम है जो कलेक्ट किया है by DICGC. So 1, 2 and 5. 1, 2 and 5 are correct. So B option is the correct answer. चलो अगला क्वेश्चन देखते हैं. Consider the following statement regarding आरबीआई पब्लिक डेट मैनेजमेंट इन 2024-25। तो आरबीआई की पब्लिक डेट मैनेजमेंट की बात करें, आरबीआई एम्स टू ऑप्टिमाइज बोरोइंग कॉस्ट, mitigate risk and develop the government security market. Obviously nothing wrong in that. Weighted average maturity of government debt decreased in 2024. No sir, weighted average maturity of government debt has increased, not decreased in 2024-25. Sovereign green bonds issuance continued. That is correct. Nothing wrong in that. Ultra long bonds of 50 years maturity were introduced to attract short term investors. नहीं sir, obviously we are targeting the long term investors. कुछ options मैंने शायद ज़्यादा बचकाने बना दिए. I'm sorry for that. मुझे लगा सारे अगर मुश्किल बना दिया तो कहीं confidence down ना हो जाए. Weighted average coupon on government debts increased. Weighted average coupon on government debts increased slightly ड्यूरिंग द ईयर. नहीं सर, अगर आप वेटेड एवरेज कूपन की बात कर रहे हैं यानी आप यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द रिटर्न ऑन द गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज, यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द इंटरेस्ट ऑन द गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज. सो दैट इज रॉन्ग, दैट इज रॉन्ग. So keeping that in mind, only two options are correct, 1 and 3. Second, fourth and fifth options are correct. Sorry, wrong. ठीक है. अगला, consider the following statement regarding the public debt management by RBI in 2024-25. अगर हम 2024-25 में आरबीआई ने कैसे पब्लिक डेट को मैनेज किया. सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ग्रॉस बोरोइंग डिक्रीज बाय 3% कंपेयर टू द प्रीवियस ईयर. अगर हम बात करें ग्रॉस सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट बोरोइंग जो है वो है आज की डेट में 24.7 लाख करोड़ रुपीस, जो कि पिछले साल से 3% कम हुई है. दैट इज करेक्ट. वेटेड एवरेज मेच्योरिटी ऑफ बोरोइंग डिक्रीज्ड. नहीं सर, इट हैज इंक्रीज्ड. दैट इज रॉन्ग. सॉवरेन बॉन्ड्स आर स्टिल इशूड. बिल्कुल सही है सर. अगर मैं बात करूं सॉवरेन बॉन्ड्स इशूड वर ऑफ वैल्यू 21,697 करोड़ इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग. स्टेट गवर्नमेंट relied on market borrowings for less than 50% for their fiscal deficit. No sir, state government, they have relied on 79%. They have relied on 79% via market borrowing. So this is wrong. They have relied on market borrowing, यहां तक ठीक है, but it is greater than 50% तो ठीक होता, या exactly बता देते around 70% तो ठीक हो जाता. Ultra long bonds of 50 years targeted long term investors. That is correct. So 1, 3, 5 A option is the correct answer. Moving on to the next question. 36वें question, 36th question की ओर बढ़ते हैं. Consider the following statement regarding RBI's currency management in 2024-25. Currency management in 2024-25 की बात करें. Printing of 2,500 notes were completely stopped in 2024-25. मैं कहूं कि जो आपका प्रिंटिंग है 2000 और 500 दोनों नोट्स का बंद हो गया है, ये ठीक है, लेकिन जो सर्कुलेशन है वो सिर्फ 2000 नोट का बंद हुआ है, 500 का नोट आज भी सर्कुलेशन में है. तो हम कहूं सर पिछले एक साल से 500 का नोट प्रिंट ही नहीं हो रहा, फिर भी कोई दिक्कत नहीं आ रही. बिल्कुल नहीं आ रही, क्योंकि जो आपको और मुझे 500 रुपए का नोट चाहिए था वो हमारे पास है ही नहीं और हमें चाहिए भी नहीं. वी आर यूजिंग यूपीआई. और जिनको कैश चाहिए उनके पास ऑलरेडी है, उनका काम चल रहा है, क्योंकि हम जैसों ने वो कैश यूज करना कम कर दिया, ब्लैक मार्केट में वो कैश बढ़ गया, उनके घर चल रहे हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. नेक्स्ट इज ई-रुपी सर्कुलेशन और डिजिटल करेंसी सर्कुलेशन हैज ग्रू मोर देन 3-fold. दैट इज करेक्ट. भारतीय रिजर्व बैंक नोट मुद्रण प्राइवेट लिमिटेड focuses on efficiency training and R&D through CRDC. That is correct. Counterfeit detection decreased for 200 and 500 notes compared to the other denominations. नहीं sir, counterfeit detections has increased for 200 and 500. Obviously जितनी बड़ी denomination होगी उतना ज्यादा counterfeit notes होंगे, उतने ज्यादा counterfeit notes print होंगे. So that is wrong. Project Samudra aims to modernize note printing, sorting and supply. So that is correct. Samudra, it's basically modernizes currency management process. So this is correct. So answer क्या बनेगा? So 1, 2, 3, 5 is correct. Fourth statement is wrong. So answer is going to be A option. समझ आया? आगे बढ़े. अगला क्वेश्चन देखो. Consider the following statement about the RBI's payment and settlement system. तो RBI की अगर हम payment and settlement system की बात करें, UPI transaction volume grew faster than value. ये मैंने आपको बहुत बार बताया. जो वॉल्यूम ग्रोथ हुई है पिछले साल में, दैट इज 41.7%. वैल्यू ग्रोथ इज अराउंड 30.3%. याद रखना. पीआईडीएफ फोकस्ड ऑन और PIDF helped expand POS terminals mainly in metropolitan cities. ना सर, metropolitan cities में पहुंच चुका है POS. अब आपका जो फोकस है that is smaller cities, smaller towns. CPFIR was extended to more banks for fraud reporting. That is correct. Delegated payments via UPI allow a secondary user to make payment through someone else's account. That is correct. UPI expansion to 20 countries is planned by 28-29. That is correct. So answer is going to be A option. सिवाय सेकंड के बाकी सारी स्टेटमेंट्स करेक्ट है. अच्छा, एक बार मुझे कमेंट सेक्शन में बताना, ये जो टर्म्स आपकी स्क्रीन पर मेंशन है, क्या इसके फुल फॉर्म्स आप मुझे बता पाओगे? कैन यू गिव मी द फुल फॉर्म ऑफ द सेम? कैन यू गिव मी द फुल फॉर्म फॉर द सेम? एनीवन? या मैं बताऊं? मैं क्या पूछ रहा हूं? मैं पूछ रहा हूं PIDF स्टैंड्स फॉर, मैं पूछ रहा हूं CPFIR स्टैंड्स फॉर. बताओ जरा, बताओ. पेमेंट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट फंड, एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. अगला भी बता दो. गिव मी द नेक्स्ट आंसर एज वेल. खुशी, आई एम स्टिल वेटिंग. सेंट्रल पेमेंट फ्रॉड इंफॉर्मेशन रजिस्ट्री. बढ़िया. चलो अगले क्वेश्चन पे बढ़ते हैं. सेंट्रल पेमेंट फ्रॉड इंफॉर्मेशन रजिस्ट्री सही है. चलो अगला क्वेश्चन देखो. Prabha portal was launched to enable centralized submission of applications to RBI, improving the transparency as well as efficiency. बिल्कुल सही है. प्रभा पोर्टल का फुल फॉर्म भी बता दो. चिराग is an AI-driven platform designed to automate e-Kuber 3.0 operations across the government accounts. नहीं सर, चिराग एक जनरेटिव AI टूल है फॉर इंफॉर्मेशन अट्रैक्शन एंड for information extraction and decision support, not for automating e-Kuber operations. और वैसे भी 2.0 होगा. तो चिराग is AI platform, true, for information extraction and decision support. Remember that. Infinite 3.0 uses SD-WAN technology to increase the or enhance the bank communication network. True. Enterprise Computing and Cybersecurity Training Institute is being constructed for advanced cybersecurity training. So that is correct. Global SFMS Hub, Structured Financial Messaging System Hub, facilitates cross-border payments in local currencies, allowing direct connections with the foreign banks. That is also correct. एक टिप दे रहा हूं, यहां पे याद रखना, ये जो टूल्स है ना, दे आर वेरी डिफरेंट. AI डेटा एनालिसिस डिफरेंट है, कोर बैंकिंग ऑटोमेशन डिफरेंट है, नेटवर्क इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर टूल डिफरेंट है, साइबर सिक्योरिटी टूल डिफरेंट है. तो इनकी डिफरेंशिएशंस याद रखना वरना कंफ्यूज हो जाओगे. सो आंसर टू दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन इज 1 3 4 5. ए ऑप्शन इज करेक्ट. अगला क्वेश्चन देखो. रिगार्डिंग द RBI's कम्युनिकेशन इनिशिएटिव, which of the following are correct? Which of the following are correct? Then my answer would be RBI discontinued celebrity endorsement and introduced mascots Money Kumar and Miss Money. Is this point clear? Yes sir, celebrity endorsement को अब discontinue कर दिया, लेकिन उसकी जगह mascot Money Kumar और Miss Money बना दिया. That is correct. Podcasts were launched to engage older audience with technical financial topics. So podcast they target younger audience. आप और मैं, हमसे भी younger, क्या कहते हैं वो, Gen Zs. They are watching the podcast, not my father, not your parents, obviously not. Communication were released in 12 languages, not 14. 12 languages, remember that. 12 regional languages plus Hindi and English. तो अगर आप हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश को इंक्लूड करोगे तो 14 ठीक है, लेकिन अगर आप रीजनल लैंग्वेजेस की बात करोगे दैट विल बी 12. सो वी हैव 12 रीजनल लैंग्वेजेस प्लस हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश, तो टोटल हो गया 14. तो इस टोटल में क्या लिखा है? कम्युनिकेशन वर रिलीज्ड इन 14 लैंग्वेजेस इंक्लूडिंग हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश, इंक्लूडिंग हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश. तो ये क्या होगा? दिस इज करेक्ट. ठीक है जी. RBI Museum microsite was developed for educational content. RBI Museum microsite was developed for educational purpose. That is correct. सोशल मीडिया लिसनिंग अंडर आरबीआई सुनता है वॉज इंप्लीमेंटेड इन 2024-25। नहीं सर, ये तो 25-26 के लिए है, ये तो एजेंडा है, टारगेट रखा है। सो फिफ्थ इज रॉन्ग, तो उसके हिसाब से आंसर बनना चाहिए 134। तो 134 के हिसाब से हमारा आंसर क्या बनना चाहिए सर? दैट शुड बी ए ऑप्शन। ठीक है जी, क्लियर हो गया पॉइंट? इज दिस पॉइंट क्लियर? अच्छा, व्हाई यू वर सेइंग सी? कम्युनिकेशन, मैं कहीं गलती तो नहीं कर रहा? कम्युनिकेशन was released in 12 regional languages plus Hindi and English, total 14। और यहाँ पे जो स्टेटमेंट है इसमें क्या लिखा था? टोटल काउंट ऑफ लैंग्वेज ही तो लिखा है, रीजनल लैंग्वेज तो कहीं नहीं लिखा ना। लैंग्वेज से तो लिखा तो सही है, 134 इज करेक्ट। ठीक है, अगला। Regarding the RBI's international relation initiatives in 2024-25, consider the following statements. RBI completed India's FSAP 2024-25, 2024-25 assessment with IMF and World Bank, finding the financial system resilient. What is this FSAP? Anyone can give me the full form for this FSAP? Anyone can give me the full form for this FSAP? I'm waiting. उसके बिना आगे बढ़ने का फायदा नहीं है ना। What is this FSAP? नहीं पता, कोई बात नहीं, किसी को भी नहीं पता। Is it not known to anybody? Some assessment, ठीक है, मैं बताता हूँ। So this FSAP basically stands for Financial Sector Assessment Program. Financial Sector Assessment Program. So RBI completed Financial Sector Assessment Program 2024 assessment with IMF and World Bank, finding the financial system resilient. That is correct. SARC currency swap framework for 2024-27 has been finalized. That is correct. Local currency settlement MOUs were signed with UAE, Indonesia, Maldives. That is correct. Workshops for Asian Clearing Union focused on promoting US dollars for intra-regional trade. नहीं सर, इसका फायदा क्या? Workshop for Asian Clearing Unit is basically focusing on using the domestic currencies, not the US dollars. RBI participated in BIS as well as FSB meetings, contributing on cyber resilience, AI, climate-related financial risk. That is correct. तो RBI ने participate किया है. So 1, 2, 3, 5 are correct. So A option is the correct answer. अगला question देखो. Regarding, अच्छा एक नंबर रिपीट हो रहा है तो कोई बात नहीं. Regarding the RBI's regarding the RBI's international, नहीं, क्वेश्चन भी रिपीट हुआ है. ठीक है, सॉरी. Okay. Which of the following statement about RBI's initiative in stats, information, management and legal digitization in 2024-25 are correct? तो इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर क्या होगा? The first one is, so the Rural Consumer Confidence Survey covered 9,000 households, not 15,000. So it has covered 9,000 households, not 15,000. Next is RBI Data Mobile App as well as DBIE portal link corporate borrowings with the financial performances. That is correct. Forecasting method included Sarima and LLM based approaches for inflation and GDP. That is correct. Legal department digitized court cases via Vidhi, CAMS and published litigation data internally. That is also correct. RBI plans to expand AI, not discontinue AI. So answer is going to be 2, 3, 4. B option is absolutely the correct answer. Consider the following statement regarding RBI's balance sheet. तो balance sheet पे एक question है, एक question P&L पे है, तो देखना जरा. The balance sheet grew by 8.2% year-on-year basis, increasing by 5,77,000 crore rupees. That is absolutely correct. Gold holding has increased by 52.09%. major driver of asset growth for RBI, that is correct. Notes issued on liability side has decreased, क्योंकि अब तो notes print ही नहीं हो रहे तो issue क्यों होंगे, issue नहीं हो रहे तो भैया liability बढ़ेगी क्यों, कम होगी. Next is domestic assets constituted 25.73% of the total assets of the RBI, that is correct. Fourth option. Fifth option is share of foreign currency assets, gold, overseas loans increased from 76.69 to 80%. Sir, share of foreign assets, share of foreign currency assets, gold, overseas loans, gold, overseas loan decreased, not increased. It has decreased to 74.27%. So answer to this particular question would be 1, 2, 4. So B option is correct. Absolutely correct. Ami, you are doing pretty well. Last question of the evening, I guess. Yes. P&L, that is profit and loss statement. RBI's income increased by 22.77%. That is correct. Expenditure has increased by 27. No. Expenditure has only increased by 7.76%. Remember that. Surplus for 2024-25 was 2,68,000 crore rupees, which is 27.37% increase over the previous year. That is correct, which is transferred to the government. That is true. Contingency funds received 44,000 crore rupees. That is absolutely correct. And there is no provision for the asset development fund. That is correct. RBI's balance sheet expansion was primarily driven by a decrease in foreign currency asset. Balance sheet expansion is driven by increase in foreign currency asset, not decrease in foreign currency asset. ये जो मैंने लिखा पिछले क्वेश्चन में, what was the point? So that is the share. That is the share. But overall अगर आप बात करेंगे balance sheet में जो expansion है, that is because of increased balance sheet driven by increase in foreign currency assets. So keeping that in mind, 1, 3, 4 are correct. So A option is the correct answer. ठीक है जी, मजा आया, क्लियर हुआ. अगर आपने ये क्वेश्चंस को अच्छे से रिवाइज कर लिया, मैं आपको श्योरिटी देता हूँ इसके बाहर कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं आएगा. और आई हैव क्रिएटेड अ समरी लिस्ट, जिसमें पहले मैंने एक समरी बनाई है हर क्वेश्चन के लिए. क्या किया था मैंने एक्चुअली मैं बताऊं तो मेरे पास जो पीडीएफ थी ना एनुअल रिपोर्ट की, दैट वाज अराउंड 126 पेजेस. हर 2 या 3 स्लाइड्स के लिए मैंने एक क्वेश्चन बना दिया. वो जो 2 या 3 स्लाइड्स हैं उसकी एक समरी भी मैंने लिख ली ताकि मैं क्वेश्चन बना पाऊं. तो वो मेरे पास एक फाइल रेडी है. तो अगर इस वीडियो पे 50 कमेंट आ गए फॉर दैट पर्टिकुलर फाइल, आई विल गिव यू दैट फाइल. वर्ड फाइल है, मैं आपको बता देता हूँ वो कैसी दिखेगी. सर उस वर्ड फाइल में पहले कुछ समरी दी होगी, थोड़ा सा कंटेंट, फिर एक क्वेश्चन, थोड़ा सा कंटेंट, फिर एक क्वेश्चन, थोड़ा सा कंटेंट, फिर एक क्वेश्चन. तो आप ये समझो इट इज अ word file which has a summary of the entire report with 45 questions which are carved out of that particular report itself. If you'll provide 50 comments in the comment section, I'll provide it. उसके बिना नहीं करूंगा, मुंह पे बोल रहा हूं, अच्छा लगे बुरा लगे जैसा आपको मर्जी लगे. ठीक है, अगर मैं कुछ कर रहा हूं, so I want something in return, so that is the target. Okay, thank you so much guys. We'll catch you in the upcoming sessions to go. Bye bye, take care, good luck, God bless you.